Hello and welcome to Theology Still Matters. My name is William Hemsworth. Thank you so much for joining me on this week's episode. Well, this week we continue with part 5 of our series in Christology, and Christology being the study of the nature of Jesus Christ. Well, today we continue on with a very important theological term that was defined at the Council of Nicea called Homoosios. Very important term, and that's what the focus of our show will be today. Now, Homoousios within Christian theology holds a very important distinction. The word itself was made famous at the Council of Nicea when the Council Fathers used it to defend the deity of Christ. The word means same essence and was used to say that Christ was of the same essence of the Father. So all 318 bishops of Nicaea defended the divinity of Christ. Not all of them agreed with using homoousios as a descriptor. This is because the historical roots of the word were used by Paul of Samosata in defending earlier Christological heresies. This made some bishops wary of adopting that word. Now, the Council of Nicea met to combat the teachings of a priest named Arius who was teaching that Christ was a created being. And just as I said a minute ago, the Council Fathers used the term homoousios in regard to the relationship between the Father and the Son. Some bishops were wary of its usage because of its links to Gnosticism. Now, this word has antecedents in Gnosticism, and Paul of Samosata used it to revive an adoptionist type of usage. And the adoptionist movement taught that Christ became Christ as a reward for his deeds in life. And as a result, he wasn't always eternal. Hope you can see what the problem is there. It's obvious to see and to appreciate the concerns that some of the bishops had during the council. Now, in response to the term, some bishops came up with an alternative. The alternative word was known as homoousios, which is defined as a similar substance. And the presence of that one extra vowel makes a huge difference in the meaning. Homoousios means of same substance. Homoousios means of similar substance. So this kind of brought up a very important question. Was Christ the eternal Logos? Was he eternal? Has he always existed? Or did he not? Now, the answer to that question, according to Arius, was, heck no. To the Council Fathers, the answer was, definitely. Now, the incarnation is and must be the incarnation of the one who is truly and fully God. Some bishops wanted to be as far away from the term homoousios because of its root in earlier heresy, and in doing so the council would have gained very little, if any, ground in defining who Christ was. In defending the Trinity, we're taught that the three persons are separate persons, but of one essence. Now, if the church would have went with homoousios, it still would have held the door open to the teaching that Christ was somehow subordinate or a different essence altogether. So it would have done very little to combat the heresy that was going on. Now, the council had the goal in mind of rendering an authoritative declaration on the deity of Christ, not necessarily to provide a thorough explanation. This judgment of Christ's deity reaffirmed the Christian belief that God is a community of three persons. And this was at odds with the Roman pagan religion. Some saw the response of Nicaea as a good start, but incomplete. Now, this is why other councils were called later on, such as Constantinople in 381, which became known as Nicaea II. The Council of Ephesus later on, Council of Chalcedon were also called. There were far more issues at stake in regard to the deity of Christ that Nicaea had not been prepared to handle. The Council of Nicea had the goal of squashing Arian belief, and it was partly successful in that. But further definitions of homoousios would come in 381 at the Council of Constantinople. However, Nicaea laid the groundwork for further discussion on the deity of Christ and its implications on the community of Christians. So overall, homoousios is a very important term within Christian theology because it describes Jesus as having always existed, as being eternal, of being the same essence as God the Father and God the Holy Spirit in that regard. Very important term for us as Christians to be familiar with. Well, this is just a very, very, very brief background on this important theological term. I would encourage you to research it in a little bit more depth. Hope you enjoyed this episode of Theology Still Matters. As always, if you enjoy the show, I ask you to rate it, share it. Thank you very much for your support. God bless you guys.